Hello everyone, Phil here, and welcome to DSP Reacts, and welcome to my recap and reactions official video for Summer Game Fest 2024. I literally just finished watching the 2-hour broadcast live, and I did a live react to it. So if you actually want to see that, you can actually see it live here on the channel soon, or it's already live. It's me 2 hours live reacting to the show. However, what I like to do is summarize the show for those who don't want to watch the full 2 hours and actually give you my reactions to each thing that happened during the show to let you know if I liked it or not and what were my highlights of the show. I'm going to be honest right up front here. This was an incredibly underwhelming show. There were maybe 10 things I was interested in, and out of that, only 2 that were actually like, oh, this is interesting announcement kind of deal, and one of which is actually going to change my streaming schedule for the week. But outside of that, this show was rife with ads, rife with nonsense, and just sadly a lot of stuff it's a joke at this point. All right, so let's get to it. The show opened up with Jeff Keighley, of course, coming out, welcoming everyone, and giving some recognition to indie games, because basically he comes out and he's like, you know, this year is a bad year for the games industry. A ton of layoffs and studio closures. But take a look at the top 10 games on Steam so far this year. 8 out of the 10 are indie games. So that needs to be recognized, that there are companies out there that are doing a good job, that are putting out good games and are doing things right, unlike a lot of these other companies. I give him a lot of credit for doing that. He's not beholden to anyone. He can say and do whatever he wants, and therefore he's able to actually accurately criticize the actions of these big game companies that have been doing an awful job, not only of their workforces, but also their games. Their games are shovelware at this point. They're putting out games that are not games people want to play. They're not selling well. The AAA games have been underwhelming for a while now. So I'm happy that he called it out, especially with all these actions that these companies are doing, you know, closing studios that are putting out good games. It's ridiculous. So that was a good way to open the show, in my opinion. And then they went to the first game showed off, Lego Horizon Adventures. Yes, this is a Lego game starring Aloy, and it retells the stories of both Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, just like how previous Lego games have told the stories of the Star Wars trilogy and stuff like that. That's what this game is. It's a Lego version of all of that. Does it look good? Well, if you like Lego games, sure. Is it a ginormous industry-shaking game? No, but it looked fine to me. Coming out holiday this year, okay? Then they showed a game. It's a zombie survival game with permadeath and 8-player co-op. It's called No More Room in Hell 2. It's coming out on Halloween. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care. It looked kind of like a Left 4 Dead hybrid with something else, kind of a ripoff, and didn't look very interesting. Quidditch Champions. This is the Quidditch game. I think this was the people who were making Hogwarts Legacy. They didn't include Quidditch gameplay in the game, and a lot of people were very disappointed at that. So they basically said this is its own standalone game, and it's coming out September 3rd. Now, it does have characters from Harry Potter in it. Unlike Hogwarts Legacy, that strayed away from that and was a different timeline. This actually did have Harry Potter and all those characters in it. It said it's coming out September 3rd, but someone had said in chat during the stream, and I don't know if this is true or not, apparently it's free. It's a free for PS Plus game. So if you're a PS Plus subscriber, apparently you don't have to pay for the game. I don't know if that's like the same for other platforms too, but I guess that's interesting. Obviously, that means a lot of people are going to play it at launch because it's on PS Plus, I guess. Okay. Up next was a game called Cuff Bust, a game made by one person. The characters look like gummy versions of koala bears. I'm not kidding. They're all different colors, and they look like they're like made of jelly. They're trying to escape from prison. It's supposedly a 20-player multiplayer game, and it's coming out in early 2025 on Steam, so it's PC only. Okay? So there you go. Apparently, I'm being told now the Quidditch game is PS Plus Premium only. It's not for PS Plus Essential. So never mind what I said, no one's going to play it. No, I'm just kidding. People might play it. I mean, it's remember, Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling game of last year. Anyone who had a craving to play Quidditch and couldn't do it now might get this game. So we'll see. Okay, Star Wars Outlaws. What did they show? Lando Calrissian and Jabba the Hutt are in it. And yes, it's their movie representations, not other weirdo representations in other media. Basically, they showed a little bit of gameplay. It looked okay. There's one running theme, though, that I have to bring up, okay? This was the first time ever they broadcast Summer Game Fest in 4K resolution and 60 frames per second on YouTube. I was watching it at 4K resolution and 60 frames per second on YouTube. They showed exactly 0 footage at actual 4K resolution and 60 frames per second. And what I mean by that is you could tell the resolution was downscaled and the actual frames per second was 30 or below. Most games were running at like 24 cinematic. I don't know why they streamed at 4K 60 frames. They had nothing to show at that resolution or quality. So here I am watching. I'm like, okay, Star Wars Outlaws, great. And it's like choppy 24 frame gameplay. I'm like, it's not really representative of what the actual game is going to be. I don't understand why they even, they advertised all week, oh, 4K, 60 frames, watch at the best quality. And I did. I actually set up to do that. It didn't benefit from it whatsoever. If you watch over on my live react, what you're seeing there is representative of the actual quality of the stream. Nothing needed 4K or anything. So, anyway, so Star Wars Outlaws. Did you really learn much from watching this? Not really. It showed some stealth gameplay, it showed some gunplay, it showed running around a few towns. Not really showing off much, so I'm going to be honest. At this point, this game comes out August 30th. So, what, 2.5 months? And it's kind of weird that we're like 2.5, 3 months away, and I don't really know much about it yet. Besides Lando and Jabba are in it. Like, that's what we learned today. Hopefully it's a good game, okay? So there's a game, and it's an indie game, obviously. It's very artistic, looks like a painting. It shows a girl walking with a baby wolf, and then a girl walking with an adolescent wolf, and then a girl walking with an adult wolf, and it shows some creatures and maybe some puzzle gameplay, and at the end of it, it says Neva, N-E-V-A, and it's coming out in 2024, okay? Now, I'm bringing this up. I'm not saying anything negative about that game. If you like artistic indie games, you may like it. But there's going to be something else I'm going to bring up later on that you're going to get a good laugh at, okay? So just keep this in mind. Neva, it's a girl with a wolf that grows up and becomes her companion, and there's puzzle gameplay and survival aspects and things like that, okay? Okay, up next, Civilization 7 was announced, and Sid Meier was actually on the show to announce it, although they literally showed nothing. It was just a cinematic intro showing the history of man, and that was it. Showed no gameplay, no elements, nothing announced. Just, it will be cross-platform at launch, both PC and consoles when it launches in 2025. And that's all we know. Black Myth Wukong. Again, it's coming out August 20th. And they showed a bunch of cinematics and absolutely no gameplay or any new information about it whatsoever. I mean, I'm excited for it, but it would have been nice to see something of the fucking game instead of just a cinematic. It was pretty much a waste of time. Asgard's Wrath 2, it was an ad. At first you think, oh, this is actually, they're going to show gameplay. No, it was just an ad paid for by Meta, because it's on MetaQuest. It's, I guess they're saying it's like, it's a popular meta game, VR game. I don't care, but it was the first of many paid ad spots on this. There's a game called Once Human coming out on July 9th, and it basically shows, I guess, aliens took over Earth or something, and they're corrupting Earth with this goo or something like that. And it shows, it's like a shooter where it's like humans trying to fight the aliens. You couldn't really tell what the hell it was. And they're like, oh yeah, it comes out like in a month. And you're like, huh? Once Human? I don't know what that is. Confusing. Who even knew it was coming out? Never heard of it until today, and it wasn't really clear what the game is based on what they showed. Then there was an ad for Samsung Hub, which basically means Samsung has their own cloud streaming service where you can stream games without a console, and it was just a paid advertisement placement. For the record, it came out, Kotaku did investigative journalism for once. You can believe it. And they actually found out that these ads that they're running at Summer Game Fest, at a minimum, cost something like over $100,000. Some of them cost upwards of $500,000 or more for an ad placement. And there actually was one that was such a blatant ad placement, ridiculously over-the-top amount of advertisement. They probably paid like $1 million for it. Okay, we'll talk about that later on. Warhammer Space Marine 2. They showed very little of it. Again, it was more cinematic than anything else. They showed a little bit of gameplay. It's coming out September 9th. I don't really think there was much more they could have shown at this point of it anyway. Then the two makers of the Persona series, one of them is Hoshino, the other one was Sojima, came out and talked about their new game Metaphor that's coming out on October 11th, okay? Basically, they showed gameplay, and I'm going to be honest, even though it's set in medieval fantasy, it kind of looks exactly like Persona. There's no Personas in the games, but they said there are class archetypes, of which there are 40 different ones, and they showed a bunch. It was like Sniper, Gunner, Knight, Assassin, stuff like that, and each one has its own gameplay style and mechanics, and I was thinking, you mean like the Personas, kind of? It kind of reminded me almost of like Final Fantasy V or Final Fantasy Tactics, where you can program your character to play like a certain class and you could swap classes or something like that. Um, so this comes out October, and it looks. I mean, I'll be honest, it looks good. It looks like it's on the level of Persona 4, or Persona 5. Excuse me, Persona 5 is what I meant to say. So I'm happy about that. At the same time, you gotta wonder, has Atlas changed their ways? Will you be able to play and stream this game and record it and share your gameplay of it without getting hit with copyright strikes? Because that's what they did to everyone with Persona 5. I haven't even played an Atlas game since, so I don't know. Continuing on, Batman Arkham Shadows is a MetaQuest 3 exclusive game. He's facing a new villain called the Rat King, who is taking over Gotham by brainwashing people. Okay? And, what was this? Samsung. I put a note here about something about Samsung or something like that. Basically, here's the thing. Does it look good? It looks all right. It looks like it could be a good game. But someone in chat made a good point. They're like, so let me get this straight. At a time when everyone is absolutely craving Batman content, because we didn't get a good Batman game for many years, right? We had Batman Arkham Knight, then a big drought. Then we had Gotham Knights. Okay, that was disappointing. Then we had Suicide Squad. That was disappointing. So what are they coming out with? A MetaQuest exclusive VR game. When are they going to make a fucking Batman game? Right? That everyone can play. No one's going to go buy MetaQuest. You understand? No one. No one's going to buy MetaQuest to play the Batman game. So it's really frustrating for people who like Batman. And again, Dabhands actually says they're just spreading the franchise too thin. You got the franchise everywhere. It's all shit, right? I kind of agree. It was awesome when Batman was only the Rocksteady, and then they had the Telltale Games thing going on. That was nice. Now you've got Batman here, Batman there, and none of it's good. You see this, you're like, man, if only there was a fucking good Batman game to play right now, but I guess I gotta go spend, you know, $1,000 on a fucking MetaQuest and a PC to play it on if I want to play a Batman game. It's pretty stupid. All right, continuing on. The first thing that actually piqued my interest, Street Fighter 6's Season 2 is announced. No dates, no pricing. But get this. Listen to this lineup of Season 2 expansion characters for Street Fighter 6. You ready for this? Terry Bogard and Mai Shiranui from Fatal Fury are the first two characters. Guest characters in Street Fighter. That has never happened before. There has never been guest characters in Street Fighter before like that. There has been crossovers, like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but never guest characters. So that's mind-blowing that they did that. The third character is Elena from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And the fourth character is the return of M. Bison, who looks completely different. His body has broken down, his arm is all messed up, and his hair is all long and gray and messed up. So it looks like it's like Bison, like a different type of Bison. Who knows if he'll play the same. And he's going for the Psycho Drive to try to charge himself up. So that's Season 2. Terry Bogard, Mai Shiranui, Elena, and M. Bison. Okay, then. All right. So that was exciting. Of course, no date, but at least that was kind of exciting to know who the new characters are coming out now. Okay? Next game was called Tears of Metal. It was RPG Dynasty Warriors kind of hybrid game set in Scotland. Then they explained, oh no, actually it's a roguelike co-op hack and slash. What? It didn't look bad, but again, it ran at like 24 frames per second on the stream, so you can't really tell if it was good or not. It looks okay. It's kind of artistic. Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. Like, literally, the only thing I have to say about the game was nice graphics. The graphics look good for the game, but literally, it's the same fucking Dragon Ball again. It's supposed to be a fighting game with an insanely huge cast, but it's like, yeah, who's the cast going to be? All the characters you've already seen from Dragon Ball, right? There's nothing new. They're just rehashing the same territory, the same plot lines, the same shit. For me, I never watched Super or any of the movies, so maybe that stuff would be new to me. But, dude, I guarantee you, if they go through a story mode and it's the same fucking story you've seen 5 zillion times, it's going to be boring as dirt. It comes out October 11th. Delta Force Hawk. Delta Force Hawk, yeah. It's a free-to-play, cartoony-looking Rainbow Six game. The alpha is coming out in July, and they announced that there's going to be a single-player expansion campaign that retells the story of the movie Black Hawk Down. Here you go. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves coming out early 2025. Sadly, they didn't really show anything new. I think they showed one character that they hadn't announced before, but basically, if you don't, for those who don't know, Fatal Fury had a game called Garu Mark of the Wolves in the early 2000s. It played very similarly to the Street Fighter 3 franchise. Instead of parrying forward, you just defended backward, okay? It had a lot of elements from that series. It was actually quite a good game, and they literally just dropped it on the floor and never did anything with it ever again. They literally never used it ever again. They just said, pfft. And Fatal Fury sat stagnant while they kept making King of Fighters games. Well, now they're bringing back Fatal Fury in early 2025. I don't know if it'll be good or not. I'm interested in it, though, okay? And then there was an ad from Dolby to say Dolby, what was it called? Dolby Atmos and Dolby, there's another thing too. I have it. It's like some Dolby thing you can get on a console and on your TV. So I have it. I don't even know what the fuck it is. But, yeah, it was a big Dolby ad. So, you know, they paid about $200,000. Then there was an Odyssey OLED or OLED TV / monitor ad. That's another 250 grand probably that they made for that ad. Just ads out the ass. Then they show a cartoon-like game that is featuring Greek gods. So immediately you think, oh, is this like Hades or something? They called it Battle Crush or something like that. It looked terrible. It looked really crappy. I was like, what the fuck is this? The next thing was Blumhouse Games. So Blumhouse, who makes a ton of horror movies, is now making video games. And this studio is going to make not one, not two, but 6 different games at once. They're working on all of these right now. Okay? They're called the following games. Ready? Crystal Theater of Idols, Grave Seasons, which is supposed to be a take on like a farming game, but there's horror and murder in it. Sleep Awake, Fear the Spotlight, The Simulation, and Project C. So the actual guy, Jason Blum, was there, and then the head of the studio was there. She got very nervous and almost lost her way, but then remembered what she was going to say. It was a little embarrassing, but hopefully, I mean, she's okay. You know, she did recover from it. And so they said the first game that's going to be coming out is Fear the Spotlight. This is a take on 90s horror tropes, and it'll be coming by the end of 2024. Okay? So it looks kind of interesting. The thing is, there's so many different games. They're all different genres. Like I said, one of them looked like Stardew Valley, but they said there's horror in it. And then one looked like a first-person shooter, and one looked like a horror survival game. I was like, I don't know what any of these are. There's so many different types of horror game that apparently they're making, right? But hey, you know what? More horror is good in my opinion. The next announcement was a shocker. No one even knew this game existed. A Power Rangers 2D beat-em-up game in the style of like 1990s beat-em-ups. Like you ever played Ninja Turtles Arcade or Simpsons or stuff like that. But it also has other elements, like it has like shooting and stuff. And it's called Rita's Rewind. What it is, it's a game based on season 1 of the original Power Rangers. So it has the same characters, the same bosses. Like they had Eye Guy and, Skeleman or whatever. You know, the cheesy-ass enemies from season 1 of Power Rangers, American Power Rangers, that is, are all in this. So it looks neat. It's a total throwback game to that, like, Turtles in Time era. And I bet it'll do well with Power Rangers fans. It looks good to me, and I might even play it. But there was no release date. Okay, now earlier, I mentioned a game that was called Neva that featured a girl and a wolf growing up. Okay, now I'm not making this up. I wish I was. It's an indie game. It's artistic style. It looks like almost like a painting. It's a boy and a baby deer. The boy and the deer team up. Then the deer starts to grow, becomes an adolescent deer. At the end, the deer's an adult deer. The deer gains powers and protects the boy, and they solve puzzles, and they survive in a world with corrupted enemies. Sound familiar? It's literally exactly the same game as Neva earlier. It's the exact same premise. It looks like someone actually copied each other. The question is, who copied who? You can't tell, but it's almost exactly the same game premise. It's the same art style. It's the same everything. Guess what the name of the game is? Deer and Boy. The name of the fucking game is Deer and Boy. They didn't even bother to give it a name. So maybe they're the ones who copied. I don't know. But you can tell one game must have copied the other because they're exactly the same game. Anyway, then they showed Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance. It was more of a cinematic kind of a deal. They showed some gameplay elements. For me, I watched my wife try to play Kingdom Come. I wasn't impressed and didn't really care. But yeah, Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance is coming out, but no release date. This one was interesting. Slitterhead. This game is from the makers of one of the original game designers of Silent Hill. What an interesting premise this is. You are some kind of a spirit, and you're possessing people and people were saying, oh, it looks like it's Hong Kong, okay? Hong Kong is being overrun by demons that are mutating people and killing people. Well, you possess a person and you mutate that person into what you want. Like they showed one woman got big claws and was slashing one of the demons. One guy pulled a sword out made of blood and was attacking with a blood sword. One dude literally pulled out an insane chain gun made of like gore and he was shooting the demons with it. Okay, so not only is it action and combat, but there's platforming where you're going to jump around as a spirit from person to person and have them committing like parkour and stuff, but then you jump to the next person, you jump to the next person. The premise looks really interesting, but the graphics weren't very impressive to me. I'll admit. I thought that the gameplay elements seemed original and interesting, but I don't know about the graphics right now. The game, get this, comes out November 8th. There were a ton of game release dates dropped during this event. There really were. Like, what the hell? Like, all these games are coming out soon. It was kind of surprising. All right. Game of the show, Killer Bean. You play as a bean, an anthropomorphic bean, super spy combat guy, badass, beating up other beans. Totally reminded me of like Duke Nukem, Serious Sam, but a different style of game, because this game actually is coming out as a roguelike. So it's going to be going for crazy runs through the game to try to survive certain levels. It comes out early access summer 2024. So it looked hilarious to me, and it looks like it might be a really fun game. Killer Bean. The game bakers, who previously have made a bunch of other indie games, are making a new game about climbing. It actually shows a woman climbing, like K2 climbing. And it's just about that. It's like climbing and surviving. You have a tent that you stay in, and you climb further. It's called Cairn. It looks unique. I don't know how fun it will be, but it certainly looks like a new premise on a game that you've never seen before. It's all about mountain climbing. Okay? Wander Stop is another indie game coming out. This game features a woman who apparently used to be a warrior, but has settled into a life of running a tea shop. And it shows her doing things like watering plants and harvesting tea and brewing tea and serving it. But then at the end, she's on a bench and she's like going nuts because she's, I used to be a warrior and I'm going to be okay. This is fine. This is fine. And her head is telling her, no, it's not fine. You want to fight. It shows like a sword and everything. So it looks like she's going to have a mental breakdown. And I guess that's the tease of the game. It's from the former makers of Stanley Parable. So everyone thinks that maybe the game will open up as a sim, a tea shop sim, but then reality is going to break and things are going to change completely and become like a violent game. That's what people are kind of guessing from what we saw on the broadcast. So looks unique. I don't know. Okay, hold on. I received a $2 tip from Big Papa Phil. The Street Fighter Season 2 DLC characters was the biggest reveal for me. I'm hyped. Power Rangers looked fun too. Your react to the show made it 10 times more entertaining. I'm glad to hear that. And if you are interested, again, guys, in watching the live react, it will be live on this channel at some point. My apologies if it gets copyright stricken or muted because of the audio during it. None of that happened during the stream, but YouTube definitely takes a closer look at on-demand video, so we'll have to see what happens. All right, continuing on. There was a game, get this, actually set in India, starring characters of India, like Indian descent. I was like, whoa, like you never see a game like that, right? Like how many games, you could probably count on one hand how many games have characters that are Indian or set in India. So it's called Unknown 9 Awakening. It's about a girl who has these powers to travel between dimensions and she can possess people and do stuff. It was unclear exactly what it was, but it looked pretty epic. And apparently it's coming out in the fall. Monster Hunter Stories and Capcom ads. Basically what happened is they ran a big Capcom block of ads. The Monster Hunter Stories game, which is like the cutesy cartoon version of Monster Hunter, comes out within like a few weeks, I think, or maybe next week. And then it showed a bunch of ads for games that are on sale. For example, right now, Street Fighter 6 is 50% off everywhere. So if you want to buy Street Fighter 6 and save a lot of money, you can do that right now. Then there was this game, Utria, The Last Song. I don't even know what it was. I don't remember it at all whatsoever. Maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't. September 19, 2024, it's coming out. I'll have to look at this later. And Notria, The Last Song. I can't remember what it was at all. It's completely... Then there's a game called The Last Descendant, and we're watching it, and we're like, so what is this game? It's hard to put your finger on what exactly this game is supposed to be. It looks anime style, but it has gameplay. There's like combat, but then there's shooting. She's like, what is this? It kind of looks like Stellar Blade combined with Vanquish, combined with Near combined. You know what I'm saying? Like a bunch of things combined. But I have no idea what exactly it is. I'm looking at, I don't know. And then they're like, oh yeah, this game comes out July 2nd. What? The Last Descendant, a game that you know nothing about and you can't even tell what it is from what they showed, comes out in less than a month. Sure it does. Okay, continuing on. From the makers of Among Us, they actually came out on stage and introduced themselves. They were very awkward. But then they said they were making a new studio called Outer Sloth. Their real studio is called Inner Sloth. Basically, here's the deal. Among Us is a game that's an indie game that literally was not popular. A bunch of viral streamers played it, blew it up, and it became very popular. They made an insane amount of money, and they still do to this day. So they're giving back by making an indie studio that's meant to fund other indies. And I really like that. Here's a group of people that were never expecting the popularity they got. What are they doing with the money they made? They're paying it forward. That is so cool. At the same time, do we need an Among Us universe? Do we need to have Among Us in every single aspect of our lives? Do we need to have Among Us merch tie-ins, other things of media? I don't think so. But they announced that they're doing an Among Us TV show, and they showed some clips of it, and I was like, wow, this is something I would never watch. I have zero interest in an Among Us TV show. But there you go. Okay. Sonic X Shadow Generations. It's a remake of Sonic Generations, also featuring Shadow the Hedgehog and new stages from Shadow Games, so it's some new content, but mostly redone content. Coming out October 25th, $50, only $50, okay, on all platforms, and of course, there's like a deluxe edition or whatever you can get too. I'm looking forward to that. I thought Sonic Generations was an amazing game, an amazing playthrough many years ago. That's where I actually got my Sonic hat from, that I actually wear in videos and the like, so that'll be fun to play that again now with Shadow, because I never played any Shadow games at all. So, there you go. Dune Awakened is an alternate timeline open world survival MMO. And literally all they showed was a cinematic trailer saying what would happen if this changed in the plot of Dune and this changed in the plot of Dune. They didn't show the game. They didn't show any gameplay. No explanation of what it's going to be. No platforms announced. Just, oh, we're making it. Gee, thanks. Battle Aces. Are you ready for this one? This one was absolutely, positively fucking ridiculous. Battle Aces shows an action-packed anime cinematic. It shows missiles, it shows troops, it shows ninjas, it shows tech, it shows mechs, it shows explosions. You're like, whoa, I wonder what this game's going to be. Battle Aces, right? Super action-packed, full of everything. And I made fun of it, of course. So I'm like, dude, every game now wants to be like this. They all want to be action-packed anime because they know anime sells. I said, now watch what this game is. I saw the intro. I literally said this when it was happening. I said, watch what this game is. The fucking dude comes out. This nerdy-looking dude comes out. Here's our game, Battle Aces. It's an RTS. And here it is. And it's just little troops going pew, pew, pew. Little robots pew, 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 pew at each other. I was like, are you fucking shitting me? You just showed like a 2-minute action-packed anime intro and your game is a bunch of little robots going pew, pew, pew. It's not, the intro they showed was not representative whatsoever of the actual game. It was a joke. I was like, are you fucking shitting me? It was such a misrepresentation. It's like a bait and switch. So you know what I did? I muted him. I said, fuck this guy, and I muted him. I did. I was like, I'm not listening to this guy. He fucking lied. He just showed he paid a ton of money to make a fucking stupid anime intro for a game that's not anime and doesn't have anything to do with what he just showed. So fuck him. Anyway, it looks like shit. Okay, so the Finals is getting an update. For those who don't remember, the Finals was a free-to-play FPS game that was announced last year during Summer Game Fest. It was popular for a couple months, and then kind of it died down after. But apparently they have a big update coming up with all this new content. And I was like, wow, does anyone actually care about the Finals anymore? And literally everyone in chat was like, nah, everyone stopped playing it. It's kind of like dead. So it's funny that they're still like making content for it. All right, time for the other big update. And ladies and gentlemen, this update is so big, it's changing my schedule for the week. Are you ready for this? Sam Lake comes out from Remedy Games. He starts doing the Champion of Light dance and then makes bad jokes. But then he basically says, guess what? 2 big announcements. Number one, for those of you who have wanted to have Alan Wake 2 on physical, it's coming out physical this fall. There'll be a standard edition and a deluxe edition with all collector's content for those who are fans of the game. So a lot of people have bitched and moaned about not being able to physically own it. Now you can do that this fall. But the big announcement, ladies and gentlemen, the official expansion DLC for Alan Wake 2 is called Night Springs. Stars 3 characters from the game. The diner waitress who was part of the story, the cop who was part of the story who was stuck in the dark place, and get this, the main protagonist character of Control. And what this is, even though they said this is going to be wild because we're going to tell these kind of alternate what-if scenarios, apparently what I think it really is, it's the stories of these characters in Alan Wake 2 from their perspective, because they were all a part of it, but you don't know that because you either played as Alan or what's her name? I can't remember her name. The other main character. Since you play as those characters, you don't ever get to see the perspectives of these people. You're going to get to see it now because that's what these are. Okay? So it's a 3-chapter DLC featuring each of these characters. And guess what? It releases tomorrow. Holy shit. Well, yes, I would like to play as those characters. Yes, I'd like to see how the protagonist of Control actually came down to the town during the fucking game and how she interacted. Remember, she was on a TV in the game, and you're like, well, how is she? What is she doing? Is she actually there? Is she trying to contact Alan? Well, now you actually get to see it. So I am playing this tomorrow. I'm very excited to do this DLC. It's called Night Springs. However, they didn't announce the pricing, so that's kind of upsetting. Saga Anderson. Thank you. Her name is Saga Anderson. So I'll be playing this tomorrow on my Xbox Series X. I guess I got to re-download Alan Wake 2 to play it. I don't know. It wasn't clear if it's a standalone or a DLC you need to own the original game. But they didn't actually do like the pricing or anything. So I have to look into this. I'm sure they probably dropped that info after the show, but I'm right here. I haven't even had a break. I'm still going. So this is tomorrow. I'm playing that tomorrow. I'm 100% playing that shit tomorrow. In fact, I might play it all day. I might just do it both streams to see, because I don't know how long it is. But since it's 3 episodes, you know it's going to be longer than 3 hours. So I might just play it all day and play it through and see if I can beat it or not, you know? So I'm excited for that, okay? The main character is Jessie. Thank you. The main character of Control's name was Jessie. So she's in this now, which is kind of wild. Plus, by the way, not to brag, but I get to play it in 4K 60 frames. And you guys are going to see it at super high quality on my stream. I'm very excited for this, okay? Cool. So that's tomorrow now. Then it was New World Aeternum, which I guess is the horror story game from Amazon Studios. I guess it's supposed to be like an MMO or something that apparently it sucks, and it was been like open early access for a while. No one likes it. Apparently it comes out for real full on October 15th. Star Rail. Anyone know about Star Rail? Well, apparently there's some kind of an expansion DLC or something like that. Good for you if you care about that. Okay. Dabhan says the expansion pass is £12 for me on sale for Alan Wake 2. Full price is $20, I'm being told by people. Okay. Well, I'm going to get it for sure. I'm playing it tomorrow. I'm super pumped for that. I'm excited to be playing Alan Wake 2 again. And now brand new on release day, like super, secret drop and big additions to the story. That sounds damn good to me. I'm excited for that. Okay. Continuing on. There was at first it looked like this was supposed to be like advertising a game. Oh no, it was a paid ad. This game's already out. It's called Dark and Darker. It's supposed to be some kind of like an online co-op fantasy game. It looked awful. The animations look absolutely terrible. The game looks like it's a two-gen old game. And they're like, oh yeah, go play it now. It's available. Like, that was a paid ad. So Jeff just made another $400,000 right there. So does anyone remember that game, Kunitsugami, Shadow of the Goddess? So we saw this last year. And when we saw it, we were like, oh, this looks interesting, but what is it? Is it Onimusha? Is it like almost like a Dark Souls style game? Is it more like like we couldn't tell what it was. It looked like combat, like a lot of action combat. Well, guess what? They showed it now, and it looks like it's a strategy game because it shows like you control one main character, but there's always other characters there fighting stuff, and there's this weird circle around the enemies that looks like the area that you can stay in and strategically position where you are. It is so bizarre. I was watching this, I was like, what is this? Like, I don't get this at all. I'm scratching my head. I was like, is this what the game is? I can't even tell what genre this game is anymore. The visuals look great, but outside of that, I'm so confused on what the hell this Kunitsugami game is. But by the way, it's coming out July 19th. So again, it's coming out in a month and a half, and now we just got told it's not what we ever thought it was. Okay. Then there was another game, Hyper Light Breaker. Again, very anime-ish. Couldn't tell what the hell it was. Quite frankly, I didn't care. Then there was a game with cutesy animals beating each other up in a party style. It is basically Party Animals, but I guess now it's getting like a full-on release on consoles and everywhere else. A lot of people have said, yeah, it's basically kind of like the spiritual successor to Gang Beasts, but it's I guess it's a new game coming out. I don't know. Then there was a weird thing. So there was basically it was like a promo. It was like almost like a mini movie. and it shows a bunch of people in an office like going crazy, crying and freaking out. And there's a guy basically saying, all the rumors are false. Don't listen to anyone spreading false information about us. Everything is fine here in M Corp, and our city is fine. So you have no idea what this is, right? And then you come to find out it's an ad for the new Skate. There's a new Skate game being made, and basically they're saying they're going to open a console playtest for it in the fall. It looked, I mean, Skate could be interesting. Skate was a good game back in the day. I sucked at it. Remember, I played it. Did I play Skate 2 or whatever? I couldn't play it because I didn't understand what the fuck I was doing. And I rage quit it, I think. But I bet it's going to be a good one. There hasn't been a Skate game in a million years. So, console playtest this fall. Pal World is getting a new island, full Xbox dedicated servers, and a big update all on June 27. And as this was being advertised, I was told that basically Pal World just now has caught up on consoles. Like, no exaggeration. PC also always had all these features, and console had none. When I was playing it, I couldn't even name one of the pals, right? Apparently now it's completely updated and caught up. But quite frankly, who's interested in Pal World? If you're interested in jumping back in, June 27th might be a great time to do it with a new island and all new content and dedicated servers if you're playing on Xbox. Valorant. This was hilarious. So as I said, people purchase ad space. Valorant bought, no exaggeration, over 5 minutes of ad space. This was the biggest fluff job I've ever seen ever. All right? Valorant. Fucking Valorant. Valorant's been out for 4 years. You know, is it pertinent? Yeah, to people who play PC only. Correct? Well, the announcement was Valorant will be on consoles. There's a limited beta starting June 14th, so you can't just get in. You have to find a code. You know what that means? Oh, there's going to be Valorant streamers. Watch my stream, bro, with a chance that I'll drop some codes. Then you can play Valorant on your console, dudes. The whole thing reeked of corporate shill. There was some woman, I don't know who the fuck she was. She was like, oh, I'm at a Valorant tournament behind me, and look at Valorant and how hype Valorant is. And it was hilariously bad. It was 100% shill advertisement space. Nothing of actual substance was shown. If you even watch it, you're like, wow, this game is like, it's like fucking outdated. It looks like shitty Overwatch. It's crap. And now, wow, Valorant's on console. I don't care. Your game is still crap. It looked terrible. Oh, this is so stupid. But they literally paid for so much of the show. It was an embarrassment. It was like over 5 minutes of fucking Valorant. No one fucking cares about Valorant. I'm not playing Valorant because you've advertised it on this fucking show. Then there was another ad placement. Yong Yeah is voice acting again, because we all loved his voice acting in the Yakuza series, right? Well, now he's voice acting as a video game character in Inside Out 2, and it literally showed a clip from Inside Out 2, which is fucking an ad. It was a blatant ad placement. Then they showed a Samsung monitor ad. Then they showed the worst ad of the show, which was another 5-minute ad for a game called Squad Busters, which is a shitty mobile game. It starred Ken Jeong and Chris Hemsworth. Yes, the guy from The Hangover and the guy from all the Marvel movies was in this fucking stupid ad for a mobile game. It was embarrassing. It was a waste of everyone's fucking time. And Jeff Keighley, you should be ashamed for taking their money because you know that game sucks ass, and you wasted everyone's time to take a giant payday, because that's all it was. He probably made about $1 million on that ad to advertise this shitty ass fucking mobile game no one's ever going to play. Okay, Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out in 2025. They finally showed some gameplay. It looked pretty good. The bummer is, again, I must reiterate, they only ran at like 25 to 30 frames per second. You know that Monster Hunter Wilds is going to run at like 60 on consoles and PC, so why show 30? It nerfed the presentation. Like, the gameplay looked good and interesting, but you couldn't fucking enjoy it because you're like, dude, I just want it to look good. Seriously? Derek says Dolph Lundgren and Will Arnett were also in that ad. I didn't even notice. You want to know why? Because I muted it. Because of an ad. I'm not watching this. I was here to see game announcements, not to be advertised to for some shitty fucking mobile game because Jeff wants some more money. So I muted the fucking thing. Anyway, so... Oh, really? Abu says, I wouldn't be so sure. Monster Hunter might actually run at 30 frames per second. That would suck. I would hope Monster Hunter is going to be 60 frames. If it's 30, that's kind of disappointing. The game looks good, though. And then finally, the last game they showed was Phantom Blade Zero. Kind of interesting. It kind of looks like kind of like a Dark Souls-born game, but it has QuickTime events entered as well, which I couldn't really figure out. The boss names are hilarious. It was like Captain Katana. Or no, Captain Cleave and like Jade Assassin or something like that. And it was like, what? These are the most generic names you could possibly have. Maybe they just didn't want to like give away the real names they're going to use in the game right now. But the graphics look good. But again, it was running at like 25 frames per second. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly how the game will play or how it looks. So it looked interesting, and definitely this looked like a bunch of fighting rather than the other game that originally looked like it was going to be fighting, the Kunimitsugami game, and now it looks like it might be strategy. This one looks like it's pure action, okay? So, overall, that was Summer Game Fest 2024 in a very abridged nutshell. Tons of shitty-ass ads that wasted your time and disrespected you. No musical performances this time. The big announcements for me were definitely Street Fighter 6's Season 2, which sounds awesome. Like, all those characters are right up my alley and I'm interested in. And definitely the announcement of the Alan Wake 2 Night Springs DLC dropping tomorrow. 3 episodes, 3 characters from the story to elaborate on the plot. Sounds great to me. Like, I'm very excited. Outside of that, some of this sounds interesting. But what I'm going to have to do is go through here with all these release dates and actually populate my game release calendar now. Some of these I'm interested in. Some of them I don't even know what to say. Like, what about that game coming out next month? What was it called? The Last Descendants or something? July 2nd. What the fuck was that? I don't even know what it was. Like, what is this game? You can't even tell from what they showed what kind of a game it is. Am I interested in it? I don't know. It's kind of ineffective if you show off your game during a presentation and no one knows what the fuck your game is. You fail. So whoever set that up should probably seek different employment, I feel. Seriously, like, it's just so dumb. Like, what the fuck was the point of that? Anyway, yeah, there's a few games coming out over the summer now that I have to try to figure out what are these games. August actually looks solid. There's like 2 or 3 big games coming out in August. There's a few games coming out in September. Of course, October looks like the ultra-loaded month. I'm not even kidding you. There was like 10 games announced that all are coming out in October. So, overall, it was very deflating. There wasn't that much to go on. The few things that were good, but man, most of it was kind of like meh, and a lot of it was like, fuck, I was sitting here for 2 hours watching this shit for this many fucking ads. This really pisses me off. Okay? So anyway, Summer Game Fest was not that good. All right? There is more coming. We've got an Xbox showcase and a Call of Duty showcase coming up on Sunday. I hope for better, but for not E3 week, so far this was not off to a very good start, I feel. I hope that there's better stuff coming. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this very abridged recap reactions video. If you'd like to see the entire thing without anything cut out, I actually have a separate video of that here on the channel. And I certainly hope that you guys will check it out. Okay? Oh, really? Mr. iGamer says that Last Descendants game is a live service game that already had a beta. People interested in it already know what it is. That's why they didn't care. Well, you certainly didn't appeal to me because you didn't tell me what it was. I had no idea. Okay, anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recap reactions. Let me know in the comments, what did you think? What did you like? What don't you like? Like, what appealed to you about this show? I would love to hear your feedback on that. All right, but in the meantime, thanks so much, and I'll see you for more reacts soon. Peace out.